everyone. No tech issues today. We're live, ready to rock and roll, which is good because today's about lead generation. So we would definitely want to have all of our time and get you guys going here. So I'd like to open it up first just to see if anybody has any kind of questions, anything from the last session, or if you're just jumping in for the first time. Have any questions, or even more importantly, because you guys are taking the time out of your schedule to be here, what do you want to make sure you get out of this session today? Because I've got 30 years experience, over 2,500 sales, master faculty with KW as long as I've been here. So I'm immersed in the MREA models. I've applied them to my business. So I am a resource for you guys on not just ideas or like a teacher, but a real agent that's in the field working every day, dealing with the same stuff you guys are dealing with. So what do you want to get out of today? Feel free to open your mic and or raise your hand and just go. How many people love lead generation? The word lead generation, you love it. You get up every day and you jump out of bed and you're like, I want to do that 4 hours of lead generation Gary talks about all the time. How many of us are there? I'm looking at a lot of laughs, right? Guys, here's the thing. Lead generation, and it goes to the model. I was going to have the MREA book sitting over here. Let me go grab it real quick. I've got it sitting around here somewhere. As you can see, mine's kind of like Mary Beth's. It's used up a little bit. I'll tell you what, this is kind of cool too. I learned this a long time ago. Took the book in, had them cut the binder off and put the ring thing on, like at an Office Max or Office Depot or whatever it is. But this is kind of what I'm going to reference here is the bullseye. The bullseye is on page 137. If you've actually got the hard copy book, you know, what's funny about, the new technology and young whippersnappers that know all this technology and they can do stuff on their phone is we lose page numbers. We can't find stuff very quickly on a Kindle version or whatever it might be. Now you should be able to just search and say bullseye and find it, but this is kind of what we're going to be talking about a lot. And it's this outer ring, just in case you haven't seen this model or really studied it. Most agents start their business in the outer ring, trying to find people to call them. And then we move them into the inner ring. And the inner ring is where we get a 12-2 return. The outer ring is where we get a 50-1 return. So without getting too techie in math, just know that 50-1 is way less business than 12-2. It's 2 pieces of business for every 12 people, where the other one is 1 piece of business for every 50 people. And if you're new or starting out, if you're new and starting out, I'll tell you, if you're old and experienced and you've done some marketing to like a neighborhood, mailings, any kind of mass marketing whatsoever, 50-1 actually translates into a 2%. It's 2% because 100 ratio to 2 is 2%. Mass marketing, starting out brand new, trying to market to a neighborhood or market to this or market to those groups you haven't met, trying to get them to contact you, takes a lot of money and a long time. The 50-1 ratio in the MREA book came from 28 millionaires, people that were making $1 million GCI at that time. Now that ceiling's way higher now. But back when the book was originally written, 28 people making $1 million in real estate. Now you understand that to make $1 million in real estate, those people, I think almost all of them personally, they've been in business for 20 years and they were doing the marketing that we're talking about and some of the things that we'll talk about today over 20, 30 years or more, right? So of course you're going to have a 50-1 ratio in that outer ring if you are a millionaire real estate agent that's been in business for a while. If you're starting out brand new, I've got some bad news for you. You're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to get to the 50 to 1. You'll be lucky if it's a 0.25% return if you just start blasting a neighborhood. And to share this story right up front, I mean, I learned the hard way. I was doing all this marketing, and it was like I'd get the first monthly mailer out. You know, you just got to hit this neighborhood every single month, right? And this was back in the day, like 30 years ago, right? And I was marketing to this neighborhood. Second month rolls around. It's like, I'm excited. You know, I got my marketing plan. I'm going to take over the world in real estate, right? So I get my marketing plan, get my postcards all put together, get them out. Third month comes around. It's like 2 days before the mailing needs to go out, right? And I'm like, oh crap, I got to get the postcards done. Consumes my whole next 2 days trying to get the postcard done so we can hit that day. Month 4 rolls around. It's like 3 days after the mail date was supposed to happen. And it's like, ah, crap, I haven't even started on the postcard yet. And then it takes 2 or 3 days to get it ready, and or you just scrap it and go, it wasn't working anyway. So I learned once that it has to be a minimum of 6 to 9 months of consistent, or don't even do it. And I had done the 2 and 3 month plan for so long. And I mean, I pick up a deal here and I pick up a deal there, and I was just stuck in that 1 or 2 deals a month, right? So when I printed the entire 6 months mailings and I addressed the entire 6 months mailings and had them sitting in my office cubicle for 6 months, that was when I started getting calls on the 6th month. And I'd get 2 calls. So I do it another month and I get 2 more calls. And then when I started expanding and doing it for 6 months, it just started to grow. So understand that 50 to 1 ratio, you really have to take the MREA numbers and put your own numbers really in and track it. So hopefully today I don't see as many agents getting caught up in doing mass marketing stuff. However, I do want to pause right there because I may have triggered some questions from what you guys have been doing for what we call lead generation. And man, if you are somebody that picks up the phone and dials for 4 hours a day, like we're supposed to, then share that too. But did that trigger any kind of questions or anything that you would like to see come out of this for marketing or lead generation? All right.
I have a question, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you choose the neighborhoods that you were targeting? Are they, because I'm brand new, so would it be neighborhoods surrounding me of people that know me?
That is so awesome. And it's Lucia, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Lucia,
thank you.
this is, I'm telling you. So here's the way my brain works. So I watched and I knew that, you know, most of the agents that get into real estate fail. I mean, they flat out told us that in real estate school, that 60 to 80% of the agents fail after 3 to 5 years. And that's just the small business statistics. So when I came in, and this is actually what I'm coaching when I've coached people too, like they'll pick a neighborhood that's like their favorite neighborhood. I've got this gated community, really nice homes. My parents used to live there, and that's where I'm going to market to. And it's 57 homes, and there's 2 sales a year in there. That is not the neighborhood that you want to market to. Okay.
Right. Gotcha.
Just because it's your favorite neighborhood does not mean that. Second thing is when I'm marketing, because I have hired somebody to put the mass mailings together. I used to mail to like 15,000 homes every month. The reason I was able to do that is because the guy doing the mailing was being paid a referral fee because he was a broker, actually with a different franchise. But he knew that I could turn him into sales. And I literally paid this guy $70,000 to $90,000 a year, which on the split we were on a high split. I was making $100,000 to $120,000. All right, we got one live mic I'm going to take care of here. So I might have paid him 90, but I made 120, and he took all the risk and paid for all the mailings up front. So it was an incredible deal. But I also got to learn this whole 15,000 pieces going out every single month for years, and it would generate, you know, maybe 5 listings a month. So 5 listings a month out of 15,000 pieces tells you where your turnover is. So what I did on that, whenever we would start backing off some of the mailings or he was changing stuff, I would take the zip code, or it was actually by neighborhood. So I would take the neighborhood and I would do sales for the last year and the previous 4 years. So I look at the last 5 years sales. And in your MLS, you can probably just put the neighborhood name in a search, right? And you can put the date range of sold. So it'd be 1/1 of 2019 to 12/31 of 2019. And when I do that search, like ours has a statistics button or a stat page that just kind of does a summary. It tells you the total sales, how many sales there were, right? Average price, average sale price, that kind of stuff. So you can literally just go through a dozen neighborhoods, pull that up for the last 5 years, just print off the summary page. It doesn't matter about the individual address sale, and look at that and go, okay, which one has the most sales, right? So it might be 1,000 home neighborhood. Well, if they're moving every 10 years, then that should be at least 100 sales in that neighborhood. You're probably going to see 200 sales in that neighborhood. So I got to market to 1,000 people for the next 12 months to make sure I have the opportunity to get in front of those 100 to 200 sales. So I would pick that neighborhood over, say, like 700 homes that might only be selling 50 homes a year. And for whatever reason, I mean, that could be a retirement community, or it's just a neighborhood that doesn't have turnover. So you want turnover, and you want, I'll give you guys another little secret. The more you can build your model and your marketing around the lower end price range. So it's not luxury, you know, and if you just start marketing to a luxury neighborhood, brand new out of real estate, I don't know if that's the smartest thing either. I built a business around 100 sales a year, around $70,000 to $180,000 homes. And those things just churn as fast as you market them because they're the lower end of the market. So if you're just starting out, find a high volume neighborhood that has a lot of turnover, as much turnover as you can find, and it's in the lower price range, and market the heck to those people because they're always moving up. Does that make sense?
That's great.
So
Thank you.
Just my brain, that's just smarter, right? And another way I do it too is I really market heavy around brand new listings. So I might market, you know, you may have heard, maybe you haven't heard yet if you're new to real estate, but you'll hear it eventually, that you market to the homes around there. I used to market to the streets around the neighborhood that would drive by the newest listing that just hit the market. And I would market to them for listings to say, did you see what your neighbors listed their house for? You know, or something like that. Call me and I'll give you the details on it. So it was trying to find listing. Now, again, I can't say that I ever had huge success with any of those. It was a very small return on investment. And we're going to talk about that today, about marketing versus prospecting. Does that answer your question okay?
It does. It does. Thank you.
Awesome. So yeah, I just always do it smart. I do it a little smarter. Like whenever we would do cold calling night, if you've ever heard of the Kohl's directory, it's a big book that you open up and it just has everybody listed by street with their phone number. Well, when we would do cold calling night, and that's what it was called, cold calling night, we're going to bring pizza into the office and everybody's going to cold call. We're going to find some business, looking for the next piece of business, right? Well, I would only cold call down the streets of the newest listing. So I just like to take the shortcut because those people maybe seeing that sign will get them to think about selling, and I've got a better shot of them selling than just calling some stranger 5 blocks away that will never see it. So that's just how my brain works. Was somebody else wanting to ask a question?
Yes, my name is Darwin Rodriguez, and I'm also a new agent. I wanted to thank you for all that information that you are giving us. My question to you will be that for us as new agents, how much are we talking about the spend if we wanted to do the marketing, sending the postcard by mail like that, like you said?
Sending, okay, so I might have missed your question. I had some background noise, so I was taking care of some mics. What is it specifically? How do you do the marketing or the postcard, or which one?
No, like price-wise, how much the investment that we got to do? Typically, how much does that run for?
Gotcha. So, guys, I've done it all. I bought the bulk permit stamp at the post office. That's going to cost you $200-300. You can get a bulk stamp. And I used to do the postcards. If you hire a company to do it, if you even look at the MREA book and the models, you're going to probably spend $1 to $1.50 per piece that's going out. I mean, postage right now is what, 59 cents? So keep in mind, postage you can't really beat. You can, And there's all kinds of ways around that too. You can do direct door and it's cheaper. I've done the bulk postage stamps and gotten them down to 20, 25 cents a piece. The return on investment is about 1/4%. So depending on how big the area is that you're marketing to, things like that. I mean, well, I'll tell you, the 15,000 homes I marketed to cost me $90,000 a year, right? So $90,000 a year divided by 12 is about $8,000 a month. Now, I was paying him on the back end as I got the closings, but if I were to hire that company to do that on the front end, I could probably get it done for 6,000. That's 15,000 pieces going out every single month. So divide that by, if it's 1,500 pieces, then it's probably going to be about $800 to $1,000 a month. If it's 150 pieces, it's going to be, I mean, really 100 pieces times at least 59 cents, right? Is going to be what, $600 a month? Is that right?
Yeah,
I'm doing my math right. So I'm glad you asked that question, because what we're layering in with Ignite this round is the Every Agent 100. Your database is a gold mine. I love that we're talking about prospecting today and marketing, because under that, you guys get to start with your Facebook friends list and your cell phone list with the people who already know you. Now, they may not, if you're new, they may not know you sell real estate. Don't worry about that. Anybody who started in real estate, that started brand new in real estate, and they did their list of 100 people and they mailed out note cards to those 100 people to announce that they were in real estate, has never sold 10, 20 homes that first month because they mailed out those 100 postcards. Never, 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 never happened. In fact, most new people, if they do that, they'll round up 1 or 2 sales right out of the chute, because the reason you went to real estate school is somebody's like, hey, we're thinking about buying a house. It's like, hey, I was thinking about being a real estate agent. Hey, we'll use you. Okay. My daughter did the same thing. She popped in, went to real estate school. My daughter, guys, I've got a business selling 100 homes a year. My daughter's going to get a real estate license. That would be like the dream. I would think it would have been a dream. She sold 3, 4 houses in their first month or two. And it was her friends that needed some help with one referral from, she grabbed from me. And then she went back to the bar business. So it's because that next month, after she got her friends all help, there wasn't really anything sitting there. And she was like, this is funny, I'm just going to share the story with you. But she said, Dad, I mean, if you could get somebody to call everybody and like get them ready to buy and get them approved, and they're to the point where they can write a contract and they want to go look at houses, that's when I'll show up. I want to go show them the house and then write the contract. I'm like, yeah, so does everybody, right? That's not how this game works. You got to do the prospecting on the front end. So what I'm going to tell you guys is layer in again. If you have your numbers from last class, if you were at the last class, and if you weren't, find this number right now while we're getting started, kicking off. How many Facebook friends do you have, and how many people are in your contacts list and your cell phone? Now, if you actually are using a database, or you have a list of people in the database, or you're using Command, write down how many people are in Command right now too, because those 3 numbers are your core people that for some reason you've already crossed paths with them. They might kind of know who you are. You might kind of know who they are. And that number, based on what we looked at yesterday or on Monday, I mean, we had something like 2,500 people. We had 1,053 people. That was your guys' numbers that you were kind of throwing out. I saw there was like a 600.
2343.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's 1,000 people and they're moving every 10 years, you already have in your possession 100 sales in the next 12 months. If you have 1,000 people on your list and they're moving every 10 years, that's 100. You guys kind of made the comment that it was probably closer to 5 years. So if it's 5 years, you have 200 sales right now in front of you. They're on your Facebook friends list and they're on your cell phone, and you've talked to these people or accepted them as your friend. You don't have to call them and sell real estate. You don't have to call them and use the script. And I don't know why people won't contact this list, because they already know us and like us. Hopefully they like us, right? but they do kind of know us, or you know them. One of those two things has happened. So what you have to do is move them into a relationship, which we're going to talk about in more detail today on what that looks like when it comes in your database. Guys, that's 100 to 200 opportunities that are absolutely going to happen. Not kinda, not maybe. You're just going to miss them because you're focused on finding the next deal, marketing to strangers, trying to convince them you're the best person to use, using all the scripts you can to try and get the appointment, when in actuality, your friends will just pick up the phone and call you whenever they're moving. And another thing we're going to make a point on, keep in mind that 98% of 100%, right? 98% of the people you talk to today are not moving. So again, another filter I want you to have as we're talking about the database and prospecting and marketing. Guys, if you realize that 98% of them are not moving and they're going to tell you they're not moving, don't blast them with real estate stuff every single week for the rest of their life. They said they're not moving. There's only 1 or 2 people per 100 people that might even know they're thinking about selling or buying right now. And you got to talk to all 100 every single month to figure out who the 1 or 2 are each month until you get 100 people covered. That's 100% conversion rate, right? So move away from being so much about real estate. I know it is about real estate. We have to sell real estate. And believe me, I'll sound contradictory at some point when I say, don't worry about real estate. Don't worry about, well, yeah, but you only make money if you sell real estate. So you got to talk about real estate with the people that are thinking about it, or that you plant the seed and get them moved over. But the other 98%, you're just having some real estate in there, but have relationship stuff, have community stuff, have things going on, stories you want to share. The best example I can give you, I mean, from the very, very top, Tony DeCello, when I was at MAPS coaching, I mean, he would say, sending a recipe is kind of like we sell real estate. Why are you sending recipes? And not to say take anything away from what Tony said by any means, because he is right. If you are just doing that all the time, then you're not talking about real estate, then you are missing the point. But what I do is I market to the 98% of the people that aren't moving right now, that aren't thinking about moving, and it's got my real estate logo on it. And even though I may have a recipe, the next month I might have something about the market on what things are selling for. So just remember, you want to keep the real estate stuff layered in there. And even when I say you're calling, like on your reconnect plan with your database, and you're using the Ford script, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, we talked about that on Monday, right? And when you're talking about Ford, if somebody says, it's weird you called us today because we're thinking about selling, we were actually thinking about selling this spring or something, then you're switching gears and you're going right into the real estate. Well, what's that look like? What's important to you about that date? Most people, you're just checking out the family, recreation, occupation, dreams. And in the MREA book, we say in an 8x8, we're going to call them again in 4 weeks and call them in 8 weeks if you follow the book, right? If you meet somebody, connect with them, put them on an 8x8, wrote them a handwritten note, and then you call them in 4 weeks, you call them in 8 weeks. Week 4 still may not be about real estate, but a lot of times they may bring up real estate. People love talking about real estate like the weather. They'll bring it up. You don't even have to bring it up. But really, by like call week number 8, I might use a bold script like, hey, today's call is a little bit about business. I just wanted to call and see if you know anybody who's thinking about buying or selling. So you can throw that in there whenever, but it doesn't have to be there the first call or the second call. And it might even be the 5th or 6th or 8th call down the road before you really bring it up. It will bring itself up. I'm telling you guys, this makes it fun because you're really selling real estate without selling real estate. Real estate will take care of itself, and you don't need a script to figure out how to get an appointment. You just need to be listening for cues that they might be thinking about buying or selling. Does that all make sense? Was that a good kind of opening to set the stage, guys? Did it give you a little different outlook perspective? Okay, then anybody have any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Obviously you said Facebook in our context. Would creating a Facebook page for your business be something that you suggest to get out there right away?
Yeah, so a Facebook page, absolutely.
Now, use a personal page or create a business page for your business.
Yeah, don't get too caught up in it. Just, yes, do one of them. It doesn't matter. And think about it. Like I have a Korn Team Kansas City Facebook page. business. It's set up as a business page, and we post our listings there. There's not people subscribing that want to just go watch me list houses all day long. So just know that is for a purpose of somebody that you're talking to that maybe says, hey, we're just starting the process of looking, or our daughter's going to be moving back to the area. Oh, great. Let me send you my Facebook page. That's where I post the newest houses on the market. That could be houses in your area, or it could just be your listings. But honestly, if I can get you guys to think that there's nothing you're going to do, there's no one thing you're going to do that when you put it out there, you're just going to have 100 buyers and sellers calling you from it. It's not. It's 100 things that grab a buyer here and a buyer there and a seller here and a seller there. So it's doing 100 things, 100 different ways to get 50 opportunities. So one thing like your business page is not where I would put my focus if I were new in real estate. Where I would put my focus is figuring out the address and the phone number for every single person on my Facebook friends list. It will be pulling those numbers off of my phone onto a sheet of paper so I can add them into my database and find their address and find their phone number and pick up the phone and call the people that already know me and just see how they're doing. Get connected so I can write them a note so I can put them on an 8x8 and move to that 12-2 return. It would not be sitting around in my office setting up web pages and setting up squeeze pages and buying leads. It wouldn't be that, because there's easy business right here in the people that already know us. Now, you don't disregard this outer ring, because that's how you bring new business in. But if I can answer your question a little more directly, if you want to build your business fast, it's right here in the middle. Right there in the middle. It's the people that we know, what we would call the Mets. And there's a lot of people that you are calling Mets right now, but you haven't talked to them in the last 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years, right? So those Mets who you met at some point have moved back out into the haven't met ring because you're not connected. You're not connected. That connection is gone. So you got to reconnect, which is real easy to do. And it's a 12-2 return versus starting out of the chute when you're in real estate and you're in the hole and you've got money invested and you're trying to get off the ground as fast as possible. 50-1 is going to take you 8 times longer than 12-2. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
So now what I would do is it's real easy to set up a business page, is I would be posting all kinds of new listings there all the time, because I'm trying to have my friends and family see that I'm doing a lot of real estate. They may not know that I'm brand new. And so I might use a lot of those listings, or I target those neighborhoods that I'm marketing in. I will put anybody's listing up on that Facebook page because you get paid a co-op if you find a buyer, right? But that's really just going to be an impression that you're moving real estate. But if 98% of them aren't buying or selling right now, they're not even paying attention to that. So it's a very small percentage that really need that piece. A good question. Great question. All right, guys. Let's see here. Is my screen up on you guys? Can you see the slide? Did I share it already? Let's see if I shared it yet. Must not have shared it yet. All right. Okay, so again, we've got 1 hour to kind of fly over the material. And the purpose of flying over the material, honestly, is just to get you excited about what the material is saying. And I hope I get you excited enough about it and make a good enough impression on the material that you're like, okay, I need to read that one. I mean, that's good stuff. I need to learn that. I need to understand it. So we're doing the hour flyover, and then I'm always available for you guys too. I think I put my stuff in the chat box last time. I'll do that again this time as well. Let's see here. I gotta change my view a little bit so I can see you guys. Come on, expand. All right. Open up the chat box. That way I can see if you guys are asking some questions. I'll try to pay attention to that every so often. And you can also raise your hand. That will flag up in front of the screen for me. Okay, so Ignite. Set spark number 2. This is basically just about it's the growing your business through lead generation. over here. So we're on the Spark stuff. We're talking about growing the business. And then when we move over into elements, so we got 9 sessions here. The next 9 sessions are really running like the day-to-day operations of running all of it. So growing the business today, we're talking about generating buyers. Okay, this is an expanded version of what was in the MREA book. And here's the thing I want you guys to get from this. The big picture is you got to have a funnel to capture every single human being you come in contact with. And I'm going to say it that way because every single human being moves at some point in their life. In fact, on average, the average person moves every 5 years, according to our group little thing we did at the beginning. And you can say 10 years if you want. I don't think it's that much more. There's really not an average population that just never moves, right? They don't just stay there. There's always a person here or there that does, but there's also people that move every year. I was that person for many years. So the average is somewhere between 5 to 10 years. Capture everybody that you meet, not just people that are talking about buying and selling real estate. We're looking for those people, and the more people you can capture in your funnel and get into a contact management system like Command, it manages your contacts to them. Something like an Outlook or on a spreadsheet is a database. It's a database. That's just data in a place. It's not telling you how long it's been since you talked to them. It's not telling you all that stuff. And so what happens is you grab that list as a bulk, and then you do something to the group or the bulk. And the bulk return is a 50 to 1, or really when you're starting out, a less than 0.25% return. When you meet people and you move them to an 8x8 and 33 touch, and let me just preface this by saying, most people that don't do an 8x8, or they say, 36 is so, that's just overwhelming. That's just really blowing somebody's mailbox up or their inbox or their whatever. If you're doing anything in one medium, that is called spam. If you have a wide variety of mediums that you're doing your communication in, it'll never look like spam, because I might only get one email every 2 or 3 months, because I get something in my mailbox once every 2 or 3 months, and because I get a phone call once every 3 months, and because I get a social media direct message on something directly once every 3 months. So you see how that's all spread out, but I'm everywhere and they see you everywhere. That, if you don't want to put somebody on that plan because you think it's too aggressive, then that is called not connected. It means you're not connected with that person yet. So a lot of people try to put all these leads and names in their database, and they're really not supposed to be on this plan yet. Those people go on a different plan, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. So when you capture, you've got leads and you've got contacts. The contacts are the people like from your Facebook friends list in your phone that you actually connect with, right? Leads could be just feeding in from your website. Guys, little side note, go into your settings on all of, like in Command, go into KWLS, just spend one hour a day, 3 days a week, like just put to work on your business. If you go into every single website, every single online, anything you have where it has a profile, max out your profiles, max them out. There are leads coming to me from KW websites that have got properties on them that I didn't, all I did was max out my profile, maxed out my zip codes, maxed out everything on the areas that I cover for the whole entire Kansas City area. Free leads coming in that I don't pay for, that are just out there with 180,000 agents at KW and our tech department getting us this massive exposure through apps and everything else. So one thing is fill out your profiles to start getting some of those leads coming in. However, with that being said, you got leads coming in from an internet website and you haven't connected with them. They're just leads. I mean, we almost call them suspects, because they haven't answered the phone, you haven't connected with them. There's probably not a magic email anywhere in the world or the globe or the universe that when they see the subject line, they all just pick up the phone and call you and say, I've got to sell or I've got to buy. I don't know of a magic subject line. It doesn't exist. Most of the time, there's some funny TikTok videos where a guy is like really returning a call and this person just chewing him out. And it's like, you just called me to ask the price on a property. You know, you called 30 seconds ago and now you're telling me to get me off your list. It's like, what? This doesn't make any sense. And that's because you're not connected. So there's not, unless you're going to give away $1 million, if you just pick up the phone and call me and ask me about real estate, I'll send you $1 million. That subject line might work. They might call, and they still might not, because that probably doesn't even seem real, right? So what you have to do is, once you get them in your database, that's going to determine whether you're just mass marketing, looking for the 1% or 2% to convert, hoping that the message stays in front of them or the right email hits them on the right day when they actually do decide to buy or sell, right? And they'll call you. So we're talking about that today. It's about marketing. And then the prospecting is the ones that you actually connected with, that now you need to put a more consistent, persistent follow-up system in place to make sure you stay in front of them. Yes. Yes. We have a question? Okay. All right, might have just been unmuted. And then what you're going to do is cultivate that until they're ready to move or buy, right? So for every 100 people, only one of them are going to ask for an appointment if you did a great job of keeping in touch with them. And once you get them out of that cultivation and they have an appointment, you have the opportunity to get them to close and take them through the process, through contract to close and all that other stuff. Yep, feel free to raise your hands if you have any questions. So this is, again, just looking at that model a little more detail. Let me make sure I don't have any, like I always put notes on here. I want to make sure there's anything I want to cover with you. Oh, so most prospecting is actually lead receiving, in my opinion. So there's lead generating and lead receiving. And even though most people will do a lot of marketing and prospecting, like circle prospecting and all that other stuff, most of the time you're throwing something out there, like the postcards. You're sending the postcard out. You might call that lead generation. I call that lead receiving, because you don't do anything with the postcard after you send the postcard. You're hoping that something on the postcard grabs their attention, whether it's the headline or whether it's the call to action, right? And I mean, there's so many things we could talk about in detail. Call to action and the headline on any kind of marketing piece is critical, but you're waiting for them to call you back. So it's hard for me to call that lead generating, because you're just lead receiving. You're just throwing stuff out there, waiting for them to call back, and that's receiving the lead, not generating the lead. Now, you can argue that you did something to get them to call you. That's fine. But again, that world in that mass marketing planet is less. I mean, it's the MREA model is 2%. That's if you did it for 10, 20, 30 years, you probably will capture 2% of the market share, which, let me expand on that. The reason it's 2%, 50 to 1, the reason it's 2% is because they've got billboards around town, they've got signs, they're closing deals, they've got past clients, 1,000 past clients walking around talking about them. I mean, they're everywhere. They're going to community events. They're sponsoring a moving truck or an ice cream social or a trash day. So all the marketing that they did in that outer ring for the 50 to 1 included a lot of the inside ring stuff, because they've been there for 20, 30 years. That's why it's 2%, right? So, again, it's just moving through the marketing. Let me see. The sales pipeline. So when you're cultivating them, what you're trying to do is get them to filter to the top and raise their hand and say, we're thinking about doing something. And if you keep your personal touch in your follow-up system, the phone calls and like direct messages, not automated stuff. You got automated stuff that you have in there, but the more automated your follow-up is, the more you are completely out of touch. If you talk to your entire database 4 times a year, I guarantee you will find people that wouldn't have called you or remembered to call you if you haven't called them and talked to them regularly. When we're talking to people, this is what I know as a coach, you don't need to have scripts for how to close a deal if they're ready to buy and sell. And if you talk to everybody regularly, you're always going to be talking to people who are going to be buying and selling. And what happens is you talk to them enough that they just think, oh my gosh, I know who to call, right? It's Lucia. We got to call Lucia. So that's how the marketing works, with the personal touch layered in there. The other part is when you're talking to them, they may be a month away from moving or 2 months away from moving, right? But when I talk to them on the phone and they're talking about, yeah, we decided we better start packing up some of this clutter and stuff. Now they're moving up the chain to where the seed is planted. Now I do want to move them into more of a real estate follow-up plan. That's how to stage your home, how to declutter, just things that you could improve your house to make money. That might be the message that now starts going out to them. I have, if it's a potential seller that's just like thinking about it, right? Not somebody that's ready to meet. If they're ready to meet, I set the appointment. If they're ready to meet in 2 weeks, I've already set the appointment, right? There's no delaying. We're not letting people sit on the fence. But if they're like, yeah, we're going to think about, I mean, we know we're not going to stay here forever. I mean, we're not doing anything right now. That person goes on a follow-up plan where I call them every 2 weeks. Now, it doesn't mean I have to actually call them every 2 weeks, but if their name's going to pop up on my to-do list to call every 2 weeks and just figure out something to call them about, right? And it's not about anything other than, hey, do you need any help? Have you guys gotten any further with stuff that you need help with anything? Let me connect you with a painter or this or that. And it's like, yeah, we moved some boxes out of the basement and we've got mold growing down there. It's like, great, I've got a mold contact person that can get all that mold out of that basement. Oh, that would be awesome. So, I didn't even say anything about, are you ready to move now? You guys ready to put your house on the market? I didn't have to. I already know they're going to, but I will be in extra special contact with them during that time. I'll be sending them market reviews on what just sold in their neighborhood. In fact, when that plan starts, I just save a search in MLS for their neighborhood to them and start sending them. It's just an auto send from MLS that just sends them anything new that comes on the market in their neighborhood, when it goes under contract and what it sold for. It's actives, pendings, backups, contingents, solds, and previews. And then I put their neighborhood in the neighborhood field, and then I do a save search and put their email in there, and it just sends to them automatically. I don't even have to do anything. So, but in those 2-week calls, I might pull that up going, okay, it's been about a month. I might pull up the MLS at that time and see what things have been selling for, going, oh my gosh, like houses are going for 40,000 over asking right now. So that might be the topic of my conversation. Does that make sense? So when you're cultivating, I have thousands of campaigns and plans running, even though they're not really set for one specific person. They're set for the group of people. So anybody who's thinking about selling at any time, whether it's 2 months, 6 months, or a year from now, there's one plan for those people. And that's a call every 2 weeks until they list, just to stay in front of them. Let's see. So my caution to you guys on this part is when you're funneling people into your database, if you've just got leads flowing in from a website and they're just sitting there, being in command is not going to make you rich. All right. I mean, you got to get them on the phone and move them over to the connection that you can put them on an 8x8 and then put them on a 36 touch and get a 12-2 return. Because if they just sit there and get the automatic emails that come out of there, they dumped in automatically, they get the automatic emails and you never talk to them until they call you. That's lead receiving, right? And that stuff is less than a 1% return. And they're probably going to just ignore your emails anyway, because it's just white noise and unsubscribe and things like that. So the goal is anything that goes into your database, you're like, that database is your gold mine. If a name shows up in the database and it was fed automatically, you want to get them on the phone in 30 seconds or less if they're from the internet, because they're already being farmed out to 3 or 4 or 5 other realtors as well. So that's why I say, if you focus on your Facebook friends list and your cell phone list, these are people you already know. We don't care that they're not buying or selling right now. I don't care that they're not buying or selling right now. I know you care to find the next deal and get your business rolling, but there's no fast way to do that. It's a 1% conversion world. So start with your group and get that pipeline full so that you won't have to look for leads for the rest of your career. Now, after you add, say, 5 people today, if you pulled your Facebook friends list and you pulled your cell phone list and you found addresses for 5 of them, and you found a phone number for those 5, pick up the phone, call them. Ford, F-O-R-D, family, occupation, recreation, what's going on? How you doing? Whatever, connect with them, write them a note. And then don't worry about what plan to put them on. You got to start doing that before you can even worry about what plan to put them on. And until you do that, you don't need to know what plans are in command, right? I'm going to challenge you today when we get to the database part, just feed people in today. you know, 5 people today, 5 people tomorrow, 5 people the next day. Don't worry about if you don't have them on a plan. Don't worry about like going in and figuring command out before I add anybody so I know what it does. It doesn't matter. Just get the name and address in there so you know it's captured and you know you sent them a note. So that might be enough for the rest of the Ignite session, is just like for the next 18 sessions or 17 more sessions, you're just feeding 5 a day. By the time you get done, now you can start figuring out, okay, now what plan do I put these people on? Because I've got all these people in there, got 200 people in there because I did 5 a day every day for 2 months, right? Now I need to figure out how to get them on plans so that the next 200 people are on plans and I can go back and put the other people on a plan. Guys, that was the biggest hurdle for me to get over, is I got to do step 1 before I get to step 2. I'm covering a lot of my material, like just by just having this conversation with you. Is this, let me check in. Are you all following me good? Am I doing a good job of explaining this to where you can capture it and be excited about it?
Yes.
Awesome. I got at least one of you, so we're doing good.
Yes, you're doing great.
Yeah, good, good, good. And really, when I teach, I want to change your perspective on things, because I know where you're sitting and I know how bad you want it to work. And I know everything you're listening to outside of this conversation right here. And everything looks like we're just going to make $1 million selling real estate, and not much of it really turns into $1 million worth of real estate. You know, it's like in the background over here, I've got the expansion session going with Cody Gibson, right? So I just stepped away for an hour to come do my session with you guys. And it's talking to these top agents who have teams all around the country. One of the guys was just talking in Washington, D.C. He's got 6 teams. He's got 6 offices that he's expanded into, and he's just in his local market. When you hear somebody say that from stage, it sounds so easy, right? And what I commented on there is, I mean, everybody wants to grow so fast, and it's like, oh man, I want to be like him, and they want to do it next month. You have to build your business so core strong before you even consider doing that. You got to add admin people before you ever consider adding a showing agent or a buyer's agent, right? You got to have a core admin team that gets you to the point where, to say you're going on 5 appointments a day, every single day, 5 days a week, right? Until you get to that point, you build your admin team until you get to that point, and you're literally going on 20 appointments a week. That's when you bring in a buyer specialist and pull the buyer stuff off of, or a showing agent, even pull the showing houses off your calendar, and all this white space opens up. Now you fill it in with 5 more listing appointments. So now you're going on 10 listing appointments a day, right? If you got it down, you're dialed in, and you do that for 5 days in a row, then you can bring on a listing partner. See how your business can grow the smart way. So this is about getting your pipeline full, 5 people a day off your Facebook, your phone, and your database. Reconnect with them, get them on an 8x8 33 touch, and get that 12 to 2 going, so that your phone's ringing with business. And all of you on this call can have 100 sales a year. I mean, if your list is 1,000 people, I'm telling you, it's probably 200 opportunities a year that are right there. So I don't know why our industry misses that entire group. All right, so let's dig into this capture thing. The capturing and the prospecting. Guys, it never stops, okay? I'm gonna give you a challenge. Write this down. This is really, really important. And if you took it before and you didn't do this yet, this is why I asked you to come back a second time. It's a master list. And this master list is a spiral notebook. A spiral notebook with lines on it, you know, like the kids at school use. Spiral notebook, a capture to every single person, human being's name that pops in your head that you know, or you know they know you, gets in that notebook. Write it down. Don't try and use a spreadsheet and do all this other stuff, or try to go into your database and figure out who you know and who to call. If you're going to clean up your database and contact your database, just start at A and go to Z and do it for everybody, because everybody's moving. Everybody's moving. If you start hodgepodging around in there, you're not really cleaning up your database. You just got a more messed up database with some organized pieces. So I suggest, even if you took your whole database right now and wrote down every person's name out of it, go through your phone contacts. Just keep writing those names in your notebook, turning the page, turning the page. Open up Facebook, and you got to do it in one shot because that all gets jumbled up and spun around when you come back next time. Go to your friends list and just scroll until you get to the bottom and write down every single name in this master notebook, right? So that's not our capture yet, but that's just our master list to feed from. Now what I do is I take that master list and I go back now and look at the first name. Do I have their email sitting in my email box? Do I have them on my phone so I've got their cell phone number? And can I do a tax record search or fastpeoplesearch.com? I'll put that one in the chat box. Fastpeoplesearch.com, you can either put in their phone number or their name and the city they live in, which, by the way, under Facebook, they usually say what city they live in right now, right? So you can use tax records, fastpeoplesearch.com. Thought I could multitask and talk and type at the same time. That wasn't working. I'm not superhuman, guys. I'm just a normal guy, just like you. Fastpeoplesearch.com and see if an address pops up. Now, there will be multiple addresses, every address they've ever lived at. It'll probably find about 80% of the people that you put in, 20% it won't find. But I'm just filling in the gaps. I want an address and I want a phone number so I can call them, use the forward script, and I need the address to write the handwritten note. But if I've got an address written down and I call them, I can work into the conversation. It's like, hey, are you still living over on the north side of town or on ABC Street or whatever? And they're, oh, no, we moved from there years ago. Oh, well, where are you guys now? Oh, we're over on XYZ Street. And it's like, oh, cool. Now I update my address, right? I don't even care if I have their email. Email is not going to convert business. I have tried. There is no magic subject lines. You can't create a relationship from email. In fact, if you start blasting them too much on email when they're not thinking of buying or selling real estate, you become white noise and you get deleted in chunks like you guys probably did today or will do later today, right? So that master list becomes what I feed in. So as I call them and write the note, I'm putting them in command and I'm learning how to use command every single day because I'm feeding in 5 of those and Xing them out of my master list when I move them into command. Once I move them into command, then we can get the smart plans. We're going to highlight or touch base on that a little bit, but there is no way I can have you guys master all this stuff in an hour. So we're touching on it so that you will go in and grab pieces of it and get in detail. Now, when you come back to Ignite next time, when we do probably our November, December session, right? If you come back then, you're going to have done a couple of things during this session. If it's just feeding in 5 a day, if you just did your master list and you're actually feeding 5 people into command every day, by the time we get to the November, December, or the December, January session that we do, you're going to be at a different point. And so you're going to start hearing things that you didn't hear today. That's why we just highlight them and get you guys moving through the process. Until you're feeding your database every single day, really a lot of everything you're going to learn about doesn't matter. So that capturing is, I would pull them out of your master list and put them into command or whatever database you're using. But if you don't have one, you're definitely using command. So lead generation. So everything I just talked about is lead generation. You're capturing these people that we know are going to move over the next 10 years. So that is still lead generation. I think that's the smartest lead generation because these people already know you and they probably like you, or they can like you if they get to know you better, right? And especially if you reconnect with them. That's why we write the handwritten note right after the first connection that just said, it was great catching up today. Glad to hear the family's doing good. Glad work is working out for you. Look forward to keeping in touch, Brad. No business card, no nothing. That moves me over into that trust and like field more so that they will call me because I'm top of mind and they like me. I'm not a pushy salesperson. I'm just building a pipeline. But when you get into marketing versus prospecting, so now we're going back out to the outer ring and you guys will see here, it's the haven't met. You got the general public, you've got the target group, and you've got the Met group. The target group and the general public. General public is going to be something like a billboard or mass mailings to a neighborhood that you want to take over. That stuff is money intensive. It takes money to do it. And it's passive. You're waiting for something to trigger them to pick up the phone and call you. And you have to do it consistently for a long time to get the results. When I call through prospecting a targeted group, right? Let's just say like expireds, for example, or for sale by owners. Those people are very targeted because they want to sell their property, but there's also a reason why they're expired and or why they're for sale by owner. Didn't want to price their property right, had a bad experience with another realtor. So you got all those things you need to overcome too. And they gotta trust you and like you before they're gonna have you over. So that can be time intensive because like a for sale by owner, what we do know is if you're going to do for sale by owners and you're going to call for sale by owners, the commitment is right out of the chute. It's not a one-time shot. You have to call them every week for 4 weeks because we know in 4 weeks, the first time you call, not most realtors won't call them, but let's just say 2 other realtors called them too. They were on their list, like especially when you're doing bold, you could get one for sale by owner gets a call from 5 agents. However, only 2 of those 5 agents will call the next week. And by the 3rd week, maybe one of them's calling. So you have 0 competition after about 4 weeks. People just do not stay in touch. Same with internet leads. Internet leads, they try to get them on the phone right away. They leave a message. You might like try again, and you might even be really good and try one more time. And then you've forgotten about that person because you've already got more internet leads coming in that you're trying to get on the phone, and those people just get lost, right? And I'm telling you, having a database, I've been inside a monster team that had 15,000 internet leads come into their database in a 6-month period. Having an inside sales team calling internet leads from 3 months ago is probably the biggest waste of time, in my opinion. It's already a less than 1% chance they would buy with you. But if you haven't gotten them on the phone in 3 months or 2 months or even 1 month, they're not going to pick up the phone. I mean, they're not going to. You might get lucky and get a small handful of them to accidentally answer the phone. But if they're accidentally answering the phone, what's that conversation going to look like to convince them to stay on the phone? Right? So just think about your leads. That's why it always comes back to this core group, man, the people that already know us. We don't even have to call and talk to them about real estate. So in fact, most of the internet leads, I don't even talk about real estate. I'm telling you, like 80% of the internet leads that I get on the phone and talk to, they're renting, or it's like, I just wanted to know the price of the house. I didn't know they were going to like send me to a live person. It's like, hey, no worries at all. I mean, I'm just glad we crossed paths because I can now help you understand the market. So when you are ready, you're going to be ready to buy. You're going to know what things are selling for. You're not going to pay too much for a house, and so I turn it into that. And they're like, oh, that would be awesome. They just gave me permission to drip on them forever until they do end up buying. Well, who else is going to stay in touch with them? Nobody, right? Guys, did you hear that? Did you hear that? This is what capturing, getting them in, and cultivating is all about. And I do it all through the campaigns and action plans in the database. So on this whole command thing, your database, it's a contact management system. First, it's just a database. I want you guys feeding it every day. And I can only tell you that this is the way I did it. I fed my database 5 people a day, every single day for 6 months, never put them on a drip plan. Or if there wasn't an automatic email drip plan, I think I might have put them on an email drip plan that I know doesn't work, but it was better than nothing. But most of them didn't go on anything other than I connected with them and I got them into the database and I wrote them the handwritten note. I just always did the note no matter what. That right there, those 2 things, calling them on the phone, connecting, and then writing the note, will absolutely, as long as I've been coaching, double your business. Double your business by accident with no other systems behind it. If you just do that, you can watch what happens in about 2 to 3 months. If you did 5 a day, every single day, I guarantee you've got 3 or 4 deals happening because you did that. Now, the issue is going to be what we talked about on Monday is you do that until you get 1 or 2 to call you out on it and go, yeah, we are thinking about, or I'm glad you called. We're thinking about selling. And you run over and do the listing. And now you're trying to figure out what all you do to get the listing on MLS and in command and all that stuff. So you quit calling your 5 people a day. And then you're going to find yourself at the bottom again going, oh, now I got to start over. It's 5 a day, every day, no matter what, which is why the master list is so critical, so critical. And the master list, ultimately, you'd like to get it where everybody's names are blacked out. Like I scratch them out in black permanent marker as soon as I connect with them, write the note and get them in the database. Because I know in my database, they're on a campaign or a follow-up plan now. And every campaign or follow-up plan says start the next plan when it's about ready to end. So that's how the database works. All I can tell you is start using Command every single day. I don't care if you like it, don't like it, unless you have something else. That is the best database you have. And it is an incredible contact management system, but you'll never know until you actually start feeding in 5 a day. Now, if you do 5 a day today, 5 a day tomorrow, 5 a day the next day, you do that for a week, you do that for 2 weeks, you do it for a month, and you absolutely hate the database, then go find one that you will like, right? So if you've used it every single day and it doesn't let you put the name, address, and phone number in it, then that's a bad database. If it lets you put the name, address, phone number in it, that's all I use my database for. And then to kick in the follow-up plans. So believe me, until you're doing that for several weeks and you didn't miss a day, you don't need to know what smart plans to put them on. Don't worry about it. Just call, connect, write the note, and watch your business actually just accidentally grow. So again, this just talks about when it comes in leads versus contacts. And that's what we talked about when you're mass marketing people or don't have a relationship. Those leads are going to be a 19 touches to connect with them. So it's just a little better than once a month that you're staying in front of them, but you need to mix the mediums up, right? It's 12 touches. You got to get the phone calls in there. The phone, once you get them on the phone, you can move them to the next one, which is contacts. And that's where you got 36 to convert. And we say 36, but really it's 36 times 10 years. It's 360 connections to make sure you captured 100% of them. 360 connections, or you won't capture 100. You back it off, you'll capture 50. You back it off more, you're going to capture 25. So it still might be good, but with 36 or 360 connections planned over the next 10 years until they become a client, you're going to capture 100% of them. So again, that we roll through this stuff on just your database. You got your contacts, you've got tags, you can tag everybody. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, guys, because tagging and grouping people in your database is still in that bulk mindset mode. I mean, it's like I need to pull up a big group of people so I can mass market my postcard to them. So it's not that you don't do it, but until you are doing this, I don't want you doing this, honestly. I mean, especially if you're new, guys, it's money intensive. It's time intensive to get them on the phone and find their address and connect with them and write the note. But time intensive actually is, you have time right now. You don't have a ton of money. If you're going to go the other route, you got to have lots of money. So build your inside core business first and take 10% off every commission check until you got a big pot, and then go do your fun marketing stuff that you want to do. So work from the inner bullseye out is the best advice I can give you. Customize your database with custom tags. Really just don't get into too many tags. If you're going to tag anybody for any reason at all, I mean, you might tag them if you need to pull them back up as a group. So a couple of examples I put down for that was like, I got some tags for Blue Springs community because we have a Blue Springs where they locked down Main Street and they put booths up, and we were always in that fair with our booth. So I had my Blue Springs residents that I made sure they got in the mail or emailed to them or whatever. It was a couple different ways, but it was the drawing form because we always had somebody bring like a TV or a bike or something to give away at the thing, right? The drawing thing to collect names and addresses. So I would send that to my Blue Springs people to encourage them to come out and see us at the booth, which they did. It was funny. It was like a celebrity or something. It's like, oh, we had to come by and see you, Brad. You know, it's like my team would think it was funny as heck, but they were coming by. I definitely wanted to see the people in my database that I know and I'm friends with win the TV, right? So they got their drawing ahead of time and just said, hey, make sure you bring this by, or at least get it back to me if you can't come to the fair. And then we'd be there collecting new addresses too. But again, that is bulk old stuff that we were collecting bulk names in the early days to build the database up. If I got a name address from somebody that did the drawing, I can bet you they got a phone call from me to say, hey, I know you're probably not buying or selling real estate right now, but you stopped by our booth and we did get a winner for the bike. So I just want to let you know it wasn't you. Sorry. But I mean, you guys have any questions about real estate? Do you own, do you rent? And then stay in touch with them and then put them on the drip. But also like long distance agents or local agents. So for Keller Williams, you have the profit sharing system, right? I have local agents tagged in my database that if we've got we got Gene Rivers coming in for business planning clinic for the KW region, I'm going to pull up my local agents that are KW prospects. And that's going to be a list of 200 agents that I've co-opted with that are at different companies. And I'm just going to send them an invite and say, hey guys, I'm going to go to this class, business planning clinic. We've worked together in the past. I'd like to invite you along as my guest if you want to come. So again, it's throwing it out there, and I don't get 200 of them to show up. I get one that comes and checks it out and they like it, and so that's how I can start growing my downline. But that's the only reason you'd really use tags is if you're doing bulk stuff. And I want you guys to keep focused right now on that core stuff. Even if you've been in business forever, I'm telling you, every single team member, if you're on a team, start with your Facebook list and your phone list and get connected with everybody and plug them into the team system because they probably already got the drip plans there. If you're a team, if you own a team and you've got other agents on your team, they should be doing this, right? So that's why we say, tell everybody in the office, get in this class, because when we apply this stuff to your list of people, you're getting a 12-2 return. So again, this is just talking about managing the database. So again, once you get them in the database and you're doing that regularly, we're going to be talking about different campaigns and different follow-up plans. That's when you can go back in and turn them onto the cultivation piece. Don't worry about it right now. You can't get it all done at once. So don't worry about the cultivation piece yet, but that's with the smart plans that are going to drip out on them. Now, here's what I do want you to do with smart plans and command. If you're using command, put yourself in command. If you can find smart plans, find a smart plan like the 8x8 plan. You're like, oh man, I got to get this 8x8 thing going. Put yourself on the 8x8 now. And if there's anybody in your office that you're friends with, put them on it too. Or maybe your core group of friends and just say, hey, I'm testing out some new stuff in my real estate business. I'd like to put you guys on a drip plan that I'm going to use to stay in touch with people. Can I put you on it and let me know what you think of it? So get like 3 or 4 or 5 people that are on this 8x8 drip plan and let you guys experience what it is before you get to that point and you want to use it, so that you can start putting your contacts on it and you already know what it looks like and what they're going to get, and you can change content or do whatever. Again, we can't master everything in one call. So we are right there at our ahas. I am going to go to the, I would love to have you guys start doing these surveys after each session, basing it on the content and the stuff that we shared in the session, rating it and evaluating it, which by the way, I should have that also sitting here that I'll put in the chat so that you guys can actually just click it. And that helps your leadership group know that, okay, this Brad guy is pretty cool. Everybody likes the way he's teaching. They're learning something. And again, that if all I get for you to do is to get 5 people in your database a day, every day for the next 2-3 weeks, man, your business is going to grow. So anyway, that's it. Any questions or anything? I don't mind staying on for anybody that has questions, as long as you need to ask questions or ask for any more details on anything. How was today? Was it powerful? On a scale of 1 to 10, type in your number. What do you think it is? 10 being incredible, awesome, loved it. 1 being, I wasted my hour. You'll get a call from me, by the way, because I need to find out why that happened. I got some 10s. That's awesome, guys. Good. Because it's really, this is about you. I'm just trying to give you everything I can in this hour that makes it a 10 for you, and for you to just get excited about your business it's every 2 days for the next 2 months. Just get more and more excited about it, excited about it. So that's my goal. All right. It doesn't sound like, yes, go ahead. We do have a question from, is it Lionel?
Yes.
All right.
So I do have a database of people that I had for a couple of years now. I've been in Nation for 5 years, and at the beginning, I had leads coming from a lot of places, and now I find myself in a situation where I have maybe 400 names, emails, and phone numbers of people that were searching for something maybe 5 years ago. How would you tackle that? How would you?
Yeah, that is so awesome, Lionel. And so let me say this two ways for anybody that has a list or a database of people that's already in there. I love simple. Simple is pull up A and go through to Z, see if I got their phone number and their address. And if I can find their address on Fast People Search or whatever, you're doing this with the leads, the 400 you just asked about as well. So when you're pulling them up, just go A to Z and clean up your contact records first, right? But as you're going through, if you find the address and you got the phone number, pick up the phone and call them right then. You're just on the first A in your database and use forward. Okay, now let me pause. The 400 people that you're just talking about, we don't know how many of them did something, didn't do something, whatever. So here's what you would do with them. You would pull them up. If they're one of the first A's, I would look for their phone number, look for their address, see what I get, right? I'd pick up the phone and I'd call them, and I would use forward, F-O-R-D. You hear what I'm saying? Connect with them. So connect with them means, like, here's what I know you want to do is like call them up and go, hey, I don't know if you bought something yet or not. You were on the internet, you were looking for a house. Let me tell you what's happening in their world, because I studied this intensely. They don't even know that they clicked a button that gave you their number and email in the first place. I've got the realtor.com leads that come in. They do not expect to be talking to a live person right then. They're at work. I can hear it in the background. There's kids screaming. There's stuff going on. They were just like plugging around, goofing off. Now, the good news is that I will tell you is that on all the internet leads, I have actually seen a study done. I think Coldwell Banker did it, or somebody like 10, 15, it might have been 15, 20 years ago. And they actually track, like, from the internet leads that came through the whole company's website, that like less than 1% to 2% are moving now. And if they tracked them over a 3-month period, it might have only been like 3 to 4% had actually moved. And over a 6-month period, I think it was maybe like 4 or 5%. Over a 1-year period, it was 10% or 14% or something like that. And over a 3-year period, they were up to like 60% of those people had actually moved. So the good news is, no matter how old the lead is, 60 to 70% of them haven't even moved yet. And to answer that even better, when I have new people start on my team, I was like, oh, you don't want the new internet leads that are coming in today. That's only a 1% to 2% chance. I'm going to give you the old leads from 6 months to 2 years ago. You're going to start with those, because now you're in the 60% pool that they are now ready to do something. And here's why that is. People start thinking about buying or selling when they click on a website, or they're just looking at properties online. They're probably 3 to 4 months from being an active buyer, because if they were an active buyer, guess what they're doing? They're already working with an agent who's pulling up stuff on MLS and taking them out and showing them houses. So the internet leads are 3 to 4 months from being anything yet. They're just starting the process. So if you can capture them in your funnel under that lead section and put them on a good follow-up plan, that 19-piece plan, and you can stay in touch with them for the whole 19 pieces, and there's phone calls in there, then when they do start moving through the process, you're guiding them through the process and helping them get pre-approved a little quicker maybe, but you're the only one that kept in touch with them 3 months later when they actually are ready to buy now. And what also happens with buyers is they do this, they start the process, and then, oh my gosh, our kid just won the Little League World Series championship. They had to travel to Orlando and go to the World Series of kids baseball. There's 2 weeks gone out of their life, and they get back home, dust settles, month later, oh yeah, we were looking for a house. Let's start that process again. Now they're still 3 or 4 months away from doing it. So life gets in the way a lot of times, and they fall off for 6 months at a time. So when I'll tell you this, what I learned is any buyer that says, we're going to be ready in about 6 months, I'm calling them in 3, right? And I really am calling them before then too, but in 3 months, they're going to be ready. They always, when they say buyers are liars, they buy the house that they said they didn't want, all that stuff. If you're talking to them, you'll figure that out before they lie to you, right? When I do searches and they start saying, they send me like questions, like what I'll do is when I meet a buyer, I put them in on an MLS search immediately. So they're getting the actual true listings the minute they go live. And I open their search up a little bit. And then they have my cell phone number. And I say, text me any address. See, I always tell every buyer, drive by the property first. Do not, I mean, you can text me any address that you want information on. So they'll text me an address. They have my cell phone and I'll say, did you drive by it? And they're like, no, not yet. It's like, drive by it first. And they'll text me back later that night. Oh yeah, that was horrible. And it's like, see, I already know half of them they won't want to go see. So we don't race out and meet them at properties. And in that meantime, they're texting me other addresses, right? And I'm pulling those up going, now that one's a 2-bedroom, you said 3. Yeah, but you know, I'm calling them, right? And texting them and we're talking and they're saying, yeah, but actually 2 could work if there was an extra room. Okay, so I'm going to change their search right then and just add 2 bedrooms in there. So by communicating and talking to them regularly and having those triggers to make sure I call them, even though I've never met them. Guys, I'm closing 3 deals this month and last month that I never met these people. And I went and showed them one house and wrote a contract. And they were internet leads from 6 months ago. But I'm the only person that has stayed in touch with them. And I left them voicemails. Hey, nothing urgent, just checking in, make sure you're still getting the links. And then MLS will tell me if they're even clicking on the links. So start at A and go to Z and reconnect and just connect with them. Find out what's going on. And here's a great opening script. And then I'll shut up and see if you have any more clarity on that.
That's good. That was the other question.
Yeah. What I will say is, hey, you don't know me from Adam. Okay. We cross paths on the internet. That's my favorite opening script. You don't know me from Adam. We cross paths on the internet. I'm Lionel over at Keller Williams. I'm a real estate agent. Don't say Keller Williams like they know what that means. They're going to think you're a paint department. So just say Keller Williams, the real estate agent, realtor, right? And I always say Brad Korn, the realtor. I'm over at the Korn team, KW. And so you just talk in like they don't know our language. Don't say CMA, don't say MLS. I always say I'm the realtor and I was calling to see if you were checking that list of properties from the computer system that the real estate agents use. So I changed my language with them because they don't know what MLS is, right? Half the time they say MSL and I think that's soccer. That's not even a computer system. You got it? So I just say, hey, you don't know me from Adam. We crossed paths on the internet and it was a while ago and I'm a real estate agent. So actually I'm just touching base. I'm curious, did you guys ever end up moving? No, you're going to get 70% of the time. No, we haven't moved. We didn't qualify for the loan. We did blah, 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 blah. Just listen, right? And write it down. That's the other thing we haven't gotten here yet, but I have color intake forms where I've got their name, their address, their phone number, what day it is, what source I got them from. These are actually on your, the Google Drive that has, sorry guys, that stuff on there. You use yellow for seller and blue for buyer, right? So that if internet lead comes in and like realtor.com is transferring to me live and the first thing they say, I've got Steve on the line and he's buying a property. I just grab a blue form. They're sitting right in my little cubby right here. I keep these things everywhere. So now I grab this and I'm like, all right, now I'm ready to write. And I write down as much information as she gives me. And then when she transfers me over to Steve, I'm going to fill in the rest. So like that name, the address, the phone number, that kind of stuff is what I got to get on that conversation somehow, or I can't send them a note, right? So this lady, there was one, this lady right here, same thing. I was the 5th realtor to call her and I called her back immediately because I didn't get rung to me live, but she goes, oh yeah, I had a bunch of other realtors call me too. But look, she gave me everything. She told me her life story on the phone because I just slowed down and had a conversation with her. Tell me what's going on. What are you planning on doing? What's your goals? What's important about that date? Why is that date important to you? Why is that area important to you? Right? So she had already talked to other realtors, but by the time I asked all these questions, and then I dropped her a handwritten note in the mail, and I called her back a few days later just to follow up on the search that I set up. She's like, yeah, I remember I told you there were other realtors that called, but they never called me back. So I guess I'll work with you. I mean, it's just like nobody follows up. So just a script, just say what you really want to say. It's like, hey, listen, I'm calling you out of the blue. Your name's on my list. I have no idea if you bought or sold. I'm just calling because your name's on my list. You wanted real estate at one time, and I'm a real estate agent. Can I help you? Yeah, that's kind of what I want to say, but I just softened it up. Does that make sense? Don't worry about if you use the right script and say, you know, hi, I'm Lionel from
No,
California.
that actually,
Yeah.
that actually is.
I mean, scripts are very important, dude. I hope you guys didn't listen to that. Scripts are masterful ways to control the conversation. What I'm doing is internalizing them and just having a conversation. So cool.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet. Love that you asked the question. Anybody else want to ask something before we go? All right, guys. Great to see you again, Scott. I haven't really paid attention to everybody that's on here, but love seeing you guys taking this again and again and again and again. Your business will just advance so quickly. So can't wait to talk to you guys again on Friday. Same time, same bat channel.